Hi, everyone. Well, I am hopeful that we might get a couple more folks straggling in, but this is a new endeavor, and we do have 9 of the 14 folks, not including myself, and not including Chief Hampton, and not including Eli Valsing, who is helping us staff this and will be a part of this with us. So do people feel comfortable moving forward? We do have more than a quorum. Feel ready? Okay. So I'm using a lot of notes tonight because this first meeting feels really important. And so I want to be sure I don't forget all the things I want to cover and say. But first of all, I want to say welcome to this first meeting of the Mayor's Task Force on Reimagining Public Safety. As a reminder, this is a public meeting and we are streaming to the town's YouTube channel. So just want to be sure that everyone is aware of that. And I'll also ask that you just give us your patience as we work through any technical mishaps that could happen as we work our way through the meeting. But I think it'll be pretty smooth. But just ask for that patience. And you all look like you may all be very seasoned because you're all doing the thing where everyone is muted when you're not speaking, and that just makes it easier to hear folks. So thank you for that. And I want to thank each and every one of you for agreeing to serve on this task force. This is important work, and I know that everyone here has very busy lives and lots of responsibilities, and so I'm just very grateful that you are here. And I would also just like to take a moment to say we had over 30 applicants to this task force, and I'm grateful to every single person who applied. And I think that the number of applicants, that was a really good turnout, says a lot about how much people in this community care about this topic and wanting to create a safe community for everyone in Hillsborough. So thank you. And I know that everyone here is eager to get to work, and so am I. But tonight's meeting will be a little bit different than what I expect future meetings to be like. One of the things that will be very different is I'm going to be talking more during this meeting than I expect or hope to be in future meetings. But this is all part of just laying the groundwork. And then we'll be spending the bulk of our time tonight getting to know each other because, throughout the, I believe it is my expectation that this endeavor will be about 4 to 6 meetings. And we'll be talking about some challenging topics, and some of them might be, we're going to have strong feelings about them and we're going to have disagreements. So it feels important to really be intentional about taking the time to get to know each other and build some trust. Trust isn't built in an hour-and-a-half meeting, but it is a starting place. So let's be intentional about it. So the first thing that I want to get clear on is the why. Why are we here? What is our purpose as a task force? What is our purpose for tonight? So the why we are here, I just want to give a little bit of background to be sure everyone understands how we got here into this meeting. And that was that in July, the Hillsborough Board of Commissioners passed a resolution denouncing the murder of George Floyd in Minnesota and making a commitment as a body to our community to take several actions to eliminate racial injustices in our own community and to build a more equitable Hillsborough. And so I'm going to, Eli, if you could make it possible for me to share my screen. This is not something I'm very seasoned with, despite the 7 million Zoom meetings I've been on in the past 9 months. I've managed not to be the screen share yet. Okay.
You should have.
I see it. Now I just have to share the right thing. Okay. Okay. So I'm not going to read all this, but I just wanted to be sure. I don't know that everyone has seen this or read it, and so I wanted to be sure that you had a chance to see it. And there are, it's available on the town website, and we can send it out to you after this meeting so that everybody has it easily accessible. But this was in the midst of the great upheaval that was happening across our whole nation in the wake of the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And this discussion just became more urgent than ever, really at the forefront in our community as much as any other. And this resolution tried to lay out, some of the history of how we got here, in that Hillsborough is not alone. We have our own role to play. We have our own painful history, including a prominent North Carolina Supreme Court justice who, many things are named for in the town. So I encourage you to read this full piece when you have the chance, if you haven't already. Then we come down to this part where we resolved, this is kind of the actionable piece of the resolution, where we resolved to do several things. There was this, first was to do this public denouncing of the killing of George Floyd, of Breonna Taylor, and of all the senseless killings of Black people doing very regular things about their lives across the country. And then we wanted to emphasize that it was important that people could assemble and protest, that is part of our tradition and right here. And then we directed the town manager to identify funding in the current budget year to dedicate these funds towards organizational efforts of assessing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and really dig into how to do a better job within our town operations of that, because we need to do that better internally as well as externally in the community. And then item number 4 was to prioritize the inclusion of residents and business owners of color for the upcoming comprehensive and sustainability plan. And I'll just say we're getting an update on that plan at our Monday meeting. And I know that the request for proposals, we're having to outsource part of the organizing for that effort here in town. That was a high priority placed in that proposed request for proposals. So we'll be hearing more about that on Monday, what we heard from those applicants. And then item number 5 was to commend the Hillsborough Police Department for its emphasis on de-escalation, community policing, anti-bias training, and implementation of best practices to reduce police violence. This feels really important because the Hillsborough Police Department, and I want to say again, thank you to Eli for staffing this, and thank you to Chief Hampton, who's here with us, for really being ahead of the game in implementing these best practices before this conversation became a national one. So that is really important, and I think puts Hillsborough in a different starting place for this conversation that will serve us well. And then item 6 was to direct the town manager and the chief of police to propose these multiple opportunities for input from residents. And so I know that Chief Hampton has been part of several conversations with the local NAACP chapter, engaging with them and answering questions. And, time has passed by, and we'll talk about this more in future meetings, but I can't iterate every one of those, but numerous of those conversations and interactions happened over the summer. And then number 7, you can see, was to direct the town manager and chief of police to continue to reflect on our role in eliminating systemic racism and to propose meaningful options to engage the board and residents in reviewing our policies, procedures, limitations, to ensure that Hillsborough is owning its responsibility to combat racism. So that will be part of our conversation here in the work of this body. And then also number 8, direct the town manager and chief of police to present options to the board for implementation of a community policing review board to provide a tool for accountability to the community. And so this last one is also part of our work here with the board. And after we passed this resolution in July, and then having some time to think about it and listen to and participate in some of these community conversations, several events that happened that were organized downtown, some protest events, and doing some preliminary research on what police review boards look like in other jurisdictions. The town manager, Chief Hampton, and I came to agree that it was really important that any sort of review board in Hillsborough be largely community driven, and that we're not even sure if the existing models that are in other places work in other communities or would be appropriate for ours. And so that is also something that our task force will need to discuss and consider, what would be appropriate for our community. And again, this is something we'll talk about more at a future meeting. But if you look at these, at what are typically called police review boards in other jurisdictions, including Chapel Hill has had something like that for some time, that they often are unsatisfactory to all parties. And so we don't want to create something here that doesn't feel authentic and isn't going to do what the community wants it to do. So now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, see if I can manage that piece. And that's how we got here. So the purpose of the task force is to deeply consider what is needed for every member of our community to feel safe. We need to take advantage of this unique opening in the public conversation about reimagining public safety. What does that mean? And how do we apply that here in Hillsborough? And then we will take what comes from those conversations and what we learn, and then this body will make some recommendations to the town board of commissioners and the town manager. And these could be policy recommendations, they might be budgetary recommendations, and they also might include recommendations for what a community policing review board for our town might look like. The town manager and then Chief Hampton will take those under consideration when they make their recommendations to the town board for some sort of review board as required by the resolution. And some of the recommendations this task force might make may even have to be forwarded to the county or maybe even the school board, given the different services that each body provides. So for example, I'm thinking that something we might end up talking about is the issue of housing, affordable housing, which is a service that the town of Hillsborough does not provide. We're a very small jurisdiction, so we don't have a housing department, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about what those needs are when we're thinking about this overall issue of safety. And along with that, the other municipalities, so Carborough and Chapel Hill, and also the county, and also Orange County schools. I don't know about Chapel Hill Carborough schools, but all of these other jurisdictions are having similar conversations. They don't all have the same name or the precise charge, but there's going to be overlap. And so as a larger community, there will be other conversations being had that we can help inform. So this is a lot. That's a lot. But we're going to take it one step at a time. And that brings us to the purpose for tonight. And I really promise I'm not going to be talking this much at future meetings. Tonight, we will be working together for a short but intensive time for about 4 to 6 meetings, talking about sensitive topics. So it's important to know each other. We need to know our purpose. We need to build trust with each other. And so let's take some time to introduce ourselves to each other. And before we do that, I do want to pause, because I've been talking a lot, and ask if people have any questions right now. Not right now. I would also like to pause and ask Chief Hampton if there is anything in my assessment of how we got here that you would like to add, or even that you see differently and want to chime in on.
Nope, I think you got it.
Okay, all right. So we're going to do a go around, and I'm going to call on folks as I see you on my screen. And I'd like each of us to share our names. We can see your names on the screen, but it's nice to hear them said out loud. And then I would also like everyone to say what brought you here. It could be a professional role, or it could just be personal experiences or knowledge that you have that brought you to want to volunteer to do this work together. I would also like for you to share who you are accountable to. This is a prompt that I've been asked to answer in a couple other places. And I like this prompt because it helps keep us grounded in the purpose of our work together, and to remember that it's not about us as individuals, it's about different circles that we are connected to, including the big Hillsborough, which we're all part of. And then the last thing is just to tell us something about you that you don't know. No big pressure on that last one. Just tell us something. Tell us something about yourself that we don't know. You have to know what it is. And I'm going to go first, just to provide the model, and then I will just call on folks. So I am here in my role as mayor. That's certainly the main thing that brings me here. When this conversation exploded across the country and across our state and here in our own community, I felt there was a clear call from the community that we needed to address these issues right here at home. And so that felt important to do. And the Board of Commissioners, we all felt that way. As far as who I'm accountable to, first and foremost, I'm accountable to my family. And I'm accountable to the people that came before me. Some I knew, some I didn't. And I'm accountable to those who come after me in trying to build a more just and equitable community. And then I'm also accountable big time to the community of Hillsborough as the person who has been elected to serve and represent the community as mayor. And that goes for the people who voted for me and the people who didn't. You know, I'm here to serve everyone. And then something about me that you might not know. For some reason, when I was considering this, I thought about that I worked as a sea kayak guide for a summer off the coast of Washington State. And I learned a lot about people doing that, because when you put people in little boats and then take them away from shore, people handle it in really different ways. And you see things manifest in relationships they have with each other, and people who feel maybe big and burly on the shore don't feel that way once they're out in a little wobbly boat on the water. And learning how to handle all of those personalities and get people safely through those journeys. I learned a lot, and it's applied in a lot of places. So we will just go around, and I know Eli is having trouble hearing. Volume's not working, so we'll just keep at it, and maybe it'll
I'm here now.
Oh, you're here. Oh, great. Awesome. Great.
A little intermittent, but I've got a trick now to get it back when I use it.
Great. Thank you. All right, Chloe, you go next.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. So I'm Chloe Johnson, and what brought me here? I have a about 10 years experience in the criminal justice field, but I am not currently working in criminal justice. And so I now work in a nonprofit in the agricultural field. And when this, everything that came together this year has really made me consider my history and the things I've learned. So just to say what I used to do, I was a public defender in Georgia. So I was an attorney who represented people who were charged with crimes and couldn't afford to pay for an attorney. So I was appointed by the court. And so I did that for a number of years, and that gave me a lot of insight into the criminal justice system. And then when I came to North Carolina, one of the things I did was work with a nonprofit in Raleigh called the North Carolina Commission on Racial and Ethnic Disparities. So basically, from my experience as practicing as an attorney, I realized that I wanted to try to approach the issues of race in the criminal justice system from a different angle. So the nonprofit I worked with, we brought together people from across the criminal justice system, judges, public defenders, prosecutors, police, and academics, and tried to come to some agreements about what reforms we should advocate for. And so that is the type of approach I like to take on these issues, though it is a very difficult one. And so when I heard that this task force was coming together, it really felt like a way that I could tap back into my experience and also get more involved in what Hillsborough, which I now call home. I've lived here now for 4 or 5 years, and I recently bought land in Cedar Grove. So I'm currently living in West Hillsborough with my partner and hoping to build a house in the next year or two in Cedar Grove, and really feel a deep kinship to this area. So I'm really happy to be more involved. And as far as who am I accountable to, certainly my partner. I bought land with a group of people, and I feel very accountable to them as kind of a larger community that I have here. And I really, Jen, liked your answer of that being accountable for those who come after me. I feel like that's a big motivator for me, just trying to make positive change for the rest of the people in the world and those who will proceed or come after me. And then something, well, very little about me, but one dream I have, I'll share, is that one day on my land, I will be able to farm and hopefully flowers, but that's my secret dream that I'm working towards.
Thank you for sharing your secret with us. Thank you, Chloe. All right, Chief Hampton, you're up. Oops, you're muted. Oh,
there we go. Took me a second to find it. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Hampton with Hillsborough Police. Obviously I'm here in my capacity as a police chief, but also, a part of the Hillsborough community overall. So, definitely interested in helping move this forward, learning a lot. It's a great opportunity to interact with folks and kind of find new ways to get information and how we need to look at things. Give you just a quick snapshot of my background. A lot of folks may not know me. I've been in law enforcement now for 25 years. I started in Durham in 1995, and I worked there until 2010 when I got the opportunity to come over to Hillsborough. Been a wonderful experience for me. Just enjoy serving the town. As far as the accountability, in my mind, it's, obviously with my faith, it's God, it's my family, it's my community, both the community I serve, which is Hillsborough, the community I live in, which is Mebane. Also, I think I hold a great deal of accountability to the profession that I represent and the men and women that I work with, as well as the men and women in the town. So, obviously, I guess the quick snapshot is I'm accountable to everybody, myself, my family, my citizens, That's kind of how I look at things. I was raised with a service mentality, and that's just part of who I am. Something that you may not know about me, again, like Chloe said, we all don't know each other very well yet, but in terms, I'll share a little bit of my family. I'm married. I have 2 children. I have a freshman in college, and I have a junior in high school, both girls. They give me quite a run for my money. We have 4 cats. So my house is full of cats. And my background before getting into law enforcement was in retail management. I graduated college and was just working in retail. I did picture framing. That was my big skill. I was running art shops, ran one in New Jersey, one in Lexington, Virginia, one in Blacksburg, and then I relocated here to Durham. And I got into law enforcement because I saw an ad in the newspaper. And I thought, wow, what a great thing to do. And it was history from that.
Thank you, Chief Hampton. I love hearing that background. I've certainly never heard that before. Marina.
Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Marina Alcazar, and what brought me here today is when I saw the advertisement, I thought that would be such a great committee for me to serve on, because I had recently, within the last year, had gone through a court case with somebody actually at work in Orange County that had committed crimes against me. And so I had went to every hearing, every court date possible. And I felt very motivated just to be a part of the process. And so when I saw this come up, I thought, well, what a better opportunity to have just to share my input and also to try to make things better in this town, because I absolutely love this town. I've only been here for about 2 years, just over 2 years. And I just feel that I want to be a better citizen for Hillsborough. So that's really why I'm here. As far as being accountable, I don't really have anyone specific that I feel that I'm accountable to. I just feel that I have to be a good person, as far as if it's a good mother, a good wife, a good worker, a good person with encounters. Basically just be a good person and therefore be accountable to basically everybody, and also to my God. And then finally, as far as something that you may not know about me, I'm from San Jose, California. So I've been making my way to the East Coast from California to Colorado to here. So, but thanks for having me.
Thank you, Marina. I too have lived in Colorado and California, so we share that in common. Judith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Judith Alvarez, and I'm also very happy to be here with you all. And what has brought me here, I would say that some of it is my own lived experience, and another part of it is just because I want to advocate for my community. And that's the reason why I was interested in joining this committee. Who am I accountable to? I think I'm accountable to my faith, my God, my children, my family, and also to the future generations of my kids and to those that will be, after us. And of course, to my community, my close community. And something that you might not know about me is that I am pregnant. So I am 6 months into my pregnancy. I'm very excited. This is my 5th child. I have 3 girls and a boy, and I'm expecting another boy. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. That's super exciting. Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hathaway Pendergrass. and I am one of 5 district court judges in our district. And our judicial district is 15B. It's Orange and Chatham counties. What brings me here is certainly my work as a judge, but also I've only been on the bench for the very long time of 4 months. I started on July 6th. So it's been a really great past few months. And prior to that, for about a decade now, I've been engaged in racial equity work, whether it's in the court system or it's with students as well. My wife is a teacher at Carolina Friends School. And we've, every year except for now with the pandemic, we've taken middle school students on a trip throughout the South to Birmingham, Selma, Montgomery, Atlanta, Greensboro, and Durham on a civil rights trip. It's always one of the most powerful trips. It is the most powerful trip that I do every single year. So the intersection of that work along with my court work prior to becoming a judge, I've been very engaged in this kind of stuff in the community and this work. In terms of who am I accountable to, my wife, who I've known since junior year in high school at Chapel High, and our 2 kids, my family, certainly the community being the Y community, both Orange and Chatham counties, folks who I represent. And I think also it's important is be accountable for myself and my own actions. The work that I do, I have to be very intentional every day as I attempt to address my own biases and do that work one-on-one with our citizens in the courtroom, or even virtually now with the pandemic. And maybe something that you don't know about me, I've already said that I went to Chapel High. I grew up in Carborough, and my dad was a postal worker. My mom was a nurse, and they closed on a house today, also in Carborough. They had not moved. I grew up in that house. And so it was a big deal in my world, in my family's world, that my parents are moving a little 5 minutes down the road. But yeah, it's a big day for our family.
That is a big day. And thank you for being with us, Hathaway. And I also just want to take a moment to welcome Patricia Harrison, who just joined us. I think she might be only audio. And Patricia, I won't make you go next, but we're going around doing introductions. And
thank you.
We are glad you're here. And
Mayor Weaver, I didn't actually say I've lived in Hillsborough. I've been here for I've been in the Orange County community my whole life, but I've lived in Hillsborough for over 3 years now.
That's right. I felt like I met Hathaway while he still lived in Carborough, and when he told me he was moving to Hillsborough, I always feel like, I always feel excited when I'm like, oh, we got another good one, So we're glad that you live here in Hillsborough with us. Okay, Hooper.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hooper Schultz. I'm a graduate student at UNC, a PhD student in the history department. I just became a homeowner in Hillsborough for the first time early this spring. So that's been very exciting. I grew up in Raleigh and knew that if I came back to UNC for graduate work that I wanted to be in Hillsborough. I just really love this community, and I know that it's a very community focused place. So that's part of why I'm here. I think that leads to what brought me to this committee as well. I'm committed to racial equity work, and as a gay man, want to be sure that marginalized communities feel safe. And part of feeling safe is not only knowing that law enforcement are there, but that law enforcement are on their side. So that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. In terms of accountability, I would say I feel accountable to LGBT people in Orange County and the Greater Triangle. And I think that that's something that I will will be focusing on. I also feel accountable to the elderly lady next door, the business owners across the street from where I live. Those are the kind of people that I think about when I think about doing work on a committee like this. So what else is there? Oh, one thing you don't know about me. I have a 2-year-old golden retriever named Butterbean who's currently trying to get into the office while we're in this meeting.
Thank you, Hooper. Thank you for joining us. And since you've told me you're in the history department, I know that means that you are in the wilds of Hamilton Hall, which where I spent several dark years of my life in graduate school as well, but on the 3rd floor, I don't even remember what floor. I was in poli-sci.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Okay. Rod.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rod Jones, lifelong resident of Hillsborough, proud of my hometown. Lived here all my life, but maybe 3 to 4 years I lived in Jamestown when I worked in Guilford County. Moved back here, bought the house that my great-grandfather built. I'm a family member, and I've been working on it ever since. What brought me here, someone tapped me on my shoulder to alert me of this opportunity. I'm not going to say any names. And it was funny because at the time I was kind of looking for an opportunity to serve the town of Hillsborough, because previously I served on the Board of Adjustment for a 6-year term as the in-town representative to the Board of Adjustment. So I had been away from that for a while, and I was looking for something to give back to my hometown and, just to do some meaningful work. And this seemed like it would be the perfect opportunity, I thought. And after Mayor Weaver read this resolution, I'm sure of it now, because it speaks to a lot of things that's happened recently, and it's been happening for hundreds of years. So I'm really looking forward to doing some meaningful work here with this group. I've been working in local government for almost 20 years now. From now, I'm working in the recycling department, that blue cart that's in front or behind your house. I'm a program supervisor with that department. So if you need a car to have recycling issues, let me know. I'll take care of them. What else? I worked in code enforcement before that. So I have dealt with the public in a regulatory way, and, dealing with a vast, population of people, from people that live in the expensive neighborhoods to affordable housing type neighborhoods. So, I've had to deal with various groups in a regulatory way and try to work with people and, also educate them on the ordinance as well as enforce it. So I have a little background in that. And when I was in Guilford County, I was a zoning investigator for the county as far as use compliance for a property and making sure that it fit the zoning of the development ordinance. So I do have a little bit of planning background and zoning background as well. Who am I accountable to? It's changed several times from listening to everybody else's accountability. But the number one was family. My family is right here in Hillsborough. I feel I'm accountable to my career and the public that I serve as a public servant. I've been doing it for almost 20 years now, from when I started driving a school bus when I was at Orange High School. I drove a school bus and worked for the State Employees Credit Union while I was in college as an ATM teller, and got back into county government in Guilford County and came back home to Orange County, where I'm employed now. And what else? Something you may not know about me. This also has changed several times also, since everybody else has been given information. But the gentleman who does the groups, the tours, went to Alabama and Birmingham. This summer, I went to Birmingham with my dad. We did a road trip this summer and just struck out to Birmingham. And we went to the Peace and Justice Memorial that's there, that deals with the lynchings throughout the South. And that was very, very powerful. If you ever get a chance to go, I strongly recommend it. The Equal Justice Museum was closed due to COVID while we were there, but I hear it's back open now. So I'm looking to go back and tour that as well.
Thank you, Rob. So glad that you're joining us. I really appreciate having someone be part of this who has been a part of the Hillsborough community for such a long time. I think that is a really important voice to have. So thank you. All right, Sujata, and please forgive me if I said, that's why I want people to say their names so I know if I'm saying them right or wrong.
No, you said it beautifully. Okay. My name is Sujata Bijou. I monitor and evaluate international health and development programs. And I was very interested in this opportunity so that I could bring some of my experience to a local arena. I also, during the summer, during the protests and such, I wasn't able to participate since my husband was deployed and I have children. I didn't feel comfortable taking my children with me. So that's another reason I loved this opportunity. And last but not least, I just recently bought a home in Hillsborough. I've been here for about 1.5 years and plan to be here forever. So really want to make it the greatest place to live. Not that it isn't already. Oh, and then the other thing I didn't mention is that my husband, I'm colored and my husband is Black and my children are Black. So the racial justice is very important to me and safety. I'm accountable to my children, I feel, and also I've always had a social justice equity lens in my work and my personal life. And so I feel I'm accountable to marginalized communities and those who don't have a voice. And I also feel like I'm accountable to all of you to hold up my end of the bargain in participating in this. First, you don't know anything about me, so I'm struggling, but since our goal here is to build trust and know each other, I'd like you to know that I overlap with a lot of you. I have a cat that just had a litter in September, so we had 5 cats in my household. I have a big dog, a Great Pyrenees. I lived in California, just bought a 10-acre farm and hope to have goats. I have a blue recycling bin. I don't know if I hit all of them. The only thing I haven't done is what Mayor Weaver did. I think that's the only thing we don't know that I haven't overlapped with.
Thank you. Thanks for tying all those threads together with the group. That was beautiful. Glad you're with us, Sujata. And now I'm gonna skip down a little bit to Patricia. So Patricia, if the 3 things we're asking people to share are, well, first tell us your name, and then it's what brings you to this group, like what it might be life experience, it might be a particular job you've had, like what was it that made you want to be a part of this task force? Who are you accountable to? And the last thing is just tell us something about yourself that we don't already know.
Okay, I'm Patricia Harrison, and I'm retired. I retired 20 years law enforcement and 26 years from the military. I moved back to Hillsborough after being away for over 30 years. I moved back in 2018. Moved back to help out my mom and dad, but unfortunately, I still get choked up. My mom died last year, and she is who I was accountable to, and I still am, even though she's not here anymore. This community in Fairview meant the world to her, and she was one who was spearheaded this Fairview community and the Community Watch, and she did so much for this community to get a lot of programs started. So I just wanted to do something to keep her memory alive, to follow in her footsteps, to let her know as she's looking down from above that this community is not forgotten and that people are still fighting to get things done in the community. I hope that with some of the experience that I've had in the criminal justice system and in the military can help with some of the things that we try to do with the task force. I've had a lot of jobs working for the Department of Justice, working with inmate programs. I was a drug abuse therapist, so I did a lot of community outreach programs with inmates, helping them find jobs in the community, working in drug treatment programs and things like that. And so resources are the main things that I did a lot with to try to help them find jobs and stuff. So I know there are programs out there. So when people say they can't find jobs and no one will hire them, I know that's not true. So I know there are resources available. It's just helping people find the resources that they need. Some things about me, we have 3 dogs here. My dog, I have a English bulldog named Butterfly. And unfortunately, she's not here tonight. I took her to have her spayed today, so I miss her already. She had to stay overnight, so I've been worried about her all day. So I get to go pick her up in the morning. I think did I answer all the questions? I'm not sure. But that's about it.
You sure did. You got all the questions, Patricia. Thank you. And I know that you are doing your mother proud. And for those of you who don't know, Patricia's mother is Dorothy Johnson, who is just legendary in Hillsborough neighborhood organizing. And so we're so grateful to have you continuing that work with us, Patricia. Really grateful.
Thank you.
Alison.
Hey, everybody. My name's Alison Zirkel. It's really nice to be here, and it feels like an honor, actually, to be here with all of you and to hear what you have to say. What brought me here is I'm a social worker, and one of the missions of social work is to fight systemic oppression, and that's been really important to me for a long, long time. And when I learned about this task force in Hillsborough, I was excited about it because it feels very, very local. I live in Hillsborough. I work for Orange County. So I'm just grateful to have this. It just feels, I've been in a lot of different groups. And this one just feels very close to home. It's the first Hillsborough centered group that I've been in. I work for the Orange County Criminal Justice Resource Department and work primarily with the jail population. So I have seen firsthand over and over and over again the detrimental impacts of an arrest and incarceration on people. I feel accountable to the people that I work with. I mean, not just my coworkers, but my clients, the people that I serve. I just am always motivated to do the best work that I can for them. Building trust, I think, is really important, and doing what you say you're going to do, and taking time outside of the day, some personal time to devote to really working on how to make our community a better place and a safer place, and working to organize a safer and more helpful crisis response system just feels really important to me. I know a couple people on this call, so it's gotta come up with something that you don't know about me, which is, I think you don't know this, but I moved to Chapel Hill when I was 21 on a Greyhound bus I took it from Wisconsin, where I grew up, and it was a 30-hour bus ride. And it just felt like a very, it was like a transformational experience going from Wisconsin down all of the little highways and then coming into Chapel Hill. And I thought it was this big town, and then I realized it was one street. So that's just something about me. And I moved to Hillsborough about 10 years ago and got married 2 months ago. So thank you.
Thank you, Allison. I'm so glad to have you be a part of this. And Allison and I do know each other. I'm one of the people who knows her outside of this, and I don't think I've had a chance to give you personal congratulations. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Jason.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Knapp. I'm 16. I go to Cedar Ridge High School here in Hillsborough. And I heard about this opportunity specifically from a teacher. She sent me an email with a link to apply, and it really caught my attention because I really do want to do something meaningful in the community. And that is really important to me. And I feel like this task force gives me the means to do that. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm very grateful to be a part of this task force and be a part of this group. I feel accountable to my family. You know, I want to make them proud and do right by them, but I also feel accountable to my peers. I feel like I have a unique opportunity to represent, you know, teens and other people, you know, in high school here in the Hillsborough community, and I really want to be a voice for them. So I feel accountable to them as well. And something unique about me is I actually did sports commentary for a year last year before the pandemic hit. I was a play-by-play announcer and a color commentator for football and basketball for Cedar Ridge and Orange High School. And that's all I got.
That's great, Jason. I love that fun fact. That's always been sort of one of my in another life. I would love to do that color commentating piece, but only for basketball. I'm kind of a one sport person. and just I want to just give a special thanks to Jason for being our youth representative. It felt really important to have that perspective as part of this task force, even though the town of Hillsborough doesn't, we don't have jurisdiction over the schools, but things change as you age. And I don't mean that in any sort of patronizing way at all. That youth experience and perspective is so very real and very important. And I think it's so important because it goes a long way to keeping the rest of us on our toes about not only what the youth experience in Hillsborough is, but to reminding us about what is possible. And that's one of the things that's been really powerful to me over the past several months in this conversation is how so much of it has been led by younger people. And so thank you for being one of those leaders, Jason, and for being with us. And
Thank
Eli.
you so much.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Eli, you're up. If you can hear.
I just have to unmute myself. Okay. What brings me to this committee or task force is my job primarily. And I'm very pleased to have the opportunity. I look forward to hearing and learning from all of you and supporting this work. I'm glad to be able to support these efforts. I am new to local government. I'm a very old graduate student. This is like the third phase of my career. So I never had any experience with law enforcement until a year ago, July. Chief Hampton took a chance on me and here I am. And so, I've been learning the ropes as I've been here, and this is sort of a great chance to branch out a little bit more, and take some of the things I've learned in the past year and a half and contribute here as best I can. I'm accountable to my family and my friends. I'm accountable to the citizens of Hillsborough. I feel in my job that is my most direct and specific constituency. And then as a citizen of Orange County, I live in Carborough. I feel like that's really part of my community. And that's one of the things that really drew me to this position, is that it's in my county. So it's part of that greater community that I live in. I've lived here since 1993. And there's so much that you don't know about me since I've had these 3 careers. The one time when I worked as a stage manager for a long time, and the stage manager is, sort of responsible for the show, and anything that happens that goes wrong, you feel like it's on your shoulders. And so, not literally, but because of the cue I called, one time I brought the curtain down on the head of the leading lady. And fortunately, she was not injured. It was just sort of a timing thing, and she was very nice about it. But it is an image I will never forget. So.
And those curtains are not light.
Yes, no, it could have gone very badly, but she was in a very deep curtsy bow, and it just came down before she finished. And so she just pulled away and stood up, and it was fine.
Oh, I'm glad she was fine. I'm sure that is seared in your memory. And Eli, just thank you so much for providing the staff support for this. Eli is probably the person you'll most often be getting emails from with updates and materials. And the past week was a flurry of she and I, like, oh, we need to think of, well, it was mostly Eli, really. We need to think about this, and we need to think about this. And so I just thank you for all your work in bringing us all together and making the magic happen. All right, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I'm so glad to get to know all of you a little bit better. And I will just say that, COVID brings so many challenges, but one of the things I'm really feeling right now is how much I wish we could all be sitting in a circle in a room together. Just so, the formation of just how you sit together as a group can be really impactful. And I just wish we could sit in a circle. That said, here we are on a screen, and this getting to know you part feels extra important. So thanks everybody for taking the time. Then the next thing that is on our agenda is to talk some about norms, ground rules for how we are going to just engage with each other throughout the course of doing this work together. And this whole project of reimagining public safety, which is directly tied to the topic of racial justice, is what can be considered a crucial conversation. And there's a whole world, a practice of how to do, with capital C's, crucial conversations that I am not personally very schooled on. I just have a cursory knowledge of what that means. But basically a crucial conversation, those are things that are really, really important topics like we'll be discussing, and also really fraught with possibilities of tension and emotion and disagreement. And, that's what can come up in some of these discussions. And so I just want to name that and acknowledge that and say that what Sujata said, I really loved what Sujata said when she named being accountable to everyone in this group. Because we are, I think that's right on target. We are all accountable to each other and kind of holding the container of this group together so that we can do this work and have honest, real conversations, even when they're difficult, because we want to keep everybody on board, even when things are challenging. Because if we don't hold the container well, then, people might get inclined to, because this is human nature, might be, we don't want to lash out at each other. And we certainly, I certainly don't want anyone to leave the group. I think this is a terrific group that we have here together. And so I want to just keep a safe container for us all to move forward together. So on that note, I'm going to share my screen again. And Okay. Here we are. So I do just want to ask Patricia, can you see, I'm going to read this out loud, but are you seeing the screen, Patricia? Are you in a place where you can see the screen? I just want to be sure that you get the information.
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome. Okay. So here are the ones that I've made a list of. And I also want to give some thanks to Chief Hampton because he had some great ideas too that are included here. And this is our starting place. And I want to give everyone the opportunity to add more. So first I have respect each other, give everyone a chance to contribute, allow others to speak without an interruption. And I think that the flip side of that is also being personally mindful of, not holding long monologues that make it impossible for others to speak. So, I think that there will certainly be times when one or the other of us, is needing, has something important to say that will have to go on a little bit. But as a general practice, just to be mindful of giving everyone a chance to contribute. And then the next one is to be mindful of time, for all of us to do our part to keep the agenda moving, do our best to get the point across without taking up more than our fair share of time. And then next is to seek solutions rather than assigning blame. And next to that, I wrote, remember to reimagine. And that feels really important to our work, is to let our, to really think big where we're able to, because we have a real opportunity here. And so let's think about what we might be able to manifest and what we want to build. And then the next one is to be transparent with the group. And this ties into, being forthright about your experience, about what you think, about what you feel. And in turn, other people, we need to have that container where even if we disagree and don't, if someone says something we might disagree with strongly, that we're going to have an opportunity to have a conversation about it. And also that to try and be consistent with what you say during our work in the task force and what you might say outside of it. And what I mean by that is that if you think things are going well, or if you think things are not going well with the task force, then I encourage you to bring that up and talk about it, and not act like things are okay, but then elsewhere say it's really not okay. Because I think that I certainly feel like as mayor and the convener of this, I definitely need to know. And I think everyone would want to be able to find a way to make it work for folks, for all of us. And then the next one is for us all to do our best to understand where others are coming from, to err on the side of asking questions rather than making assumptions. We all bring different life experiences here. And so if you don't understand what someone is saying, then let's just ask. And then the next one is just to come to the meetings if you can. Life is life. And I know things come up, of course they do, and you're all volunteers. So I am very, very grateful that you are all here. And I just really hope that we can all commit to being at as many of these meetings as we're able to attend. So that's the list that I've come up with, and I'll talk about the yellow card, red card system a little later on, but what else do people have? And I am going to stop sharing the screen just so I can see you all again. So if you need me to restate anything, let me know. Hathaway.
You kind of said it on the setup, Mayor Weaver, but I would say lean into the uncomfortable for these discussions rather than push away from it. That there will be a lot of, I'm assuming, uncomfortable conversation. And then I have one clarification. for our decisions that we make, are we going to, do we vote on stuff? And if we vote, is it a majority? Is it, what's the kind of structure, I guess, for that? Or is that something we'll cover later?
That is a great question. And how about I make a note of that and I'll come back to it in a few minutes. Is that good? Okay. Also, Judith was asking in the chat if this will be shared later. Yes, I will add what Hathaway has already said, plus anything else people say, and then we'll send this out to everybody. Anything else people would like to add? Yes, Sujata.
I'd like to say I liked how Hathaway raised his hand. So maybe that's something we can institute, raising your hand, either with the Zoom function or physically. And then I guess I'm not sure if it's something to add, but I was thinking about homework. I'm imagining maybe we need to go back and do some reading in between meetings. So for that bullet point, come to meetings, I would also add, do your homework if you have any.
Thank you. That's good. I will add that. I do think that we will be in between meeting readings. Try and say that 5 times fast. In between meeting readings. Thank you. Any others? Okay, certainly if people think of other things after you have time to, sit with it a little bit, please don't hesitate to send those to either directly to me or to Eli, and we can add them in. And I will say about the hand raising thing in town board meetings, that's what we typically try to do, is I just try to look for people raising hands. So I think let's do that, just the visual cue, as long as we can manage it. And if you don't have your screen on, then just feel free to just jump in. I'll be on the lookout for you, taking your mute off. That'll be my signal that you probably want to say something. And look, I see Patricia, you've taken your mute off. Do you have something you want to add?
No.
Okay. All right. But I'm ready for you. See? Those are great. And to Hathaway's question about decision making. So everyone that you see on the screen are voting members of the task force, except for myself, Eli, and Chief Hampton. I would cast a vote sort of just like in a town board meeting. I don't have a vote unless there's a tie. So I feel like if there's a tie, I would cast a vote. As far as the decision-making process goes, this is an awesome question that I wish I had thought about more ahead of this. But what my instincts say is that we should make an effort to come to a consensus, but that won't always be, I don't think that should hold us back, that at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to take a vote and it would be majority rules. But I would encourage us to engage in conversation with each other so that we are, trying to come to decisions that that everybody feels mostly at peace with. How does that sit with folks? Okay, cool. All right. Now I am currently looking at the time, and if we don't manage to completely check off every box on our agenda tonight, I'm going to feel okay with that, because I think there's other ways that I think we can still keep moving forward, even if I need to send some of these questions out in email. We'll figure it out, because I'm very pleased with all of the discussion that we've had so far. I hope you are too. So this one, I would just encourage people to be brief if you can. But the question is on this theme of reimagining, and just kind of set the tone with us for that. I want to consider the question, about what will success look like. So we have our basic charge that I talked about in more detail earlier at the beginning about, this consideration of how do we create a safe community? We might, we're going to have these recommendations to make at the end. But a question I have is, in your wildest dreams, what does a community that is safe for everyone look like? So that's part one. And then the second part is, what is a smaller scale success that we could accomplish that maybe isn't your wildest dreams, but would leave you walking away from this feeling like it was worth your time? Because what I don't want people to do is get caught up in the idea that either we were successful or we weren't. There's a lot of room in between there. So I would leave it up. If anyone feels ready to go, you can go. All right, Hooper.
Okay, I'll give a stab at it. I would say, I think in my wildest dreams, what does a safe community look like, a perfectly safe community? It's a place where no one is hungry, everyone is housed, a place where people feel from the smallest person to the biggest person in the community that their voices are being heard. I think it's like my wildest dream, safe community. I think in terms of what would success for this committee look like, I thought that just the idea of community input, this committee sitting, is an admirable step in the right direction. But I would think that success for the committee would be imagining a long-term way for community members across Hillsborough to have their voice heard and continue to respond to issues concerning racial equity and law enforcement and public safety more generally. So that would be what I would hope to get out of this.
Great, thank you. Chloe.
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, in my wildest dreams, what a safe community would look like, I think a big part of that would be a very, very, very small population in jails, because going to what Hooper was talking about, we are able to establish a community where people's social needs are met, and I truly believe that that's a root cause of crime is unstable communities and sometimes unstable people that need a safe place to be held. But in my very wildest dreams, that would be a super vast reduction in the number of people in jail. And as for this task force, I was imagining success for us coming up with, 6 or 7 strong, as you said, policy, budgetary, and other recommendations that we feel are feasible. And I would love if we were able to come to those on a consensus basis, because that just feels like if we can all agree on them, maybe will have more traction once they're out there in the world.
Awesome, thank you. Alison.
I have an answer for the first question. So what does a community that is safe look like to me? Anyone can ask anyone for help without fear that would make them vulnerable in any way. And I'm still thinking of something for the other question.
I love that. Hathaway.
And I would flip back to the agenda itself, just to look at it, that Eli sent out. And the question, I guess it kind of sums it up too, is that what would success look like? And for me, it's an educated community of what's happening now, what's lacking, and put forth tangible things that can be measured that we're going to change. that we check in on yearly or in a certain amount of time that we can keep checking on, that this hopefully good work that we engage in isn't just lost after all of us start to do other things in life or things happen and we're not sitting on this committee. And for me, going back, reimagining something like this is utilizing every single service that we have in our great community, from the schools, from our town hall, to our businesses, to our courtrooms, to law enforcement, to public and private citizens, using all those goals to work together to further our ultimate goal. My ultimate goal in the courtroom is to ensure equity in the judicial system, but working towards that goal, all of us using our resources together.
Thank you, Hathaway. Thanks for that reminder about, what comes after. We're only going to meeting a short time, and we hope that the work lasts a lot longer. And all right, Marina.
Thank you. So in my wildest dreams, I think that in the town of Hillsborough, it would be really building the trust between law enforcement and their presence with all community members. I think if people feel that they can trust them, that they can grow relationships with law enforcement, that they would feel safe. They would feel safe that they could call upon them, that basically they'd have their back. So to me, that building trust is critical. As far as what we're doing, I think if we have such different perspectives, if we can learn from each other and maybe be, enlightened in some way, that we have great ideas and come to a consensus rather than voting with the majority, I think that would be a huge win, because I know I have strong perspectives. I'm sure other people do as well. So just coming to a consensus, I think, would be awesome.
Love that. Thank you, Marina. Agreed. Jason.
So in my sort of perfect worldview, I think one where everyone's basic needs are met would be a key component of that. And in terms of public safety, one where implicit bias has no effect on policing. And in terms of what we can accomplish and achieve within our group, as I said earlier, I really want to focus on schools, and I'm glad that Mayor Weaver, you brought up the school board in Orange County schools earlier. And so I think that if we can pass some sort of resolution or just something onto them, whether it be increased funding for our social workers at school, our school counselors, people who specialize in mental health, or some sort of curriculum change to include more Black literature and more Black history, so the voices of marginalized communities are heard.
Thank you so much, Jason. Sujata.
So what the easier question of what I think our task force could achieve is coming up with an evidence-based approach to the extent possible, something that's people-centered. My wildest dream, it's hard to put into just a few words because there's so many different aspects to it. I liked what Alison said, but I would like to tweak it a little bit to say that whoever you are, whatever differences you are, you'd be able to not just ask for help, but receive the help. Some people might not be able to ask for it. They might, but somehow those needs are identified.
Thank you. Judith.
Yes, I think just like Sujata was saying, I think there's a lot of things that I would see in a perfect world, but one of those major things, which probably covers a lot, is that everyone is being treated in a fair and just humane way. That's that would be for me like an ideal thing too. And I think a smaller scale success that we could accomplish would be something like even making a small difference in a small group of people, you know, and whether it's a policy change related to education, affordable housing, whatever it might be. I see that as something that we could probably accomplish.
Thank you. Did you just raise your hand, Rod?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. As far as my wildest dream, one of the things that popped into my mind immediately back during my time when I was a transit driver at Chapel Hill Transit, inside the bus, they had this placard of, you know, like not like a rape crisis type thing, but something along those lines where, you know, if you're in a relationship, you should feel trusted, you should feel safe, respected. And the last one that said you should feel liked. And, you know, a safe community, I think you should probably have all of those attributes. You should be able to feel all of those type things. And then also I thought about how I got to thinking about the equity side of it, as far as, you know, I'm having a local government county background, that whenever we make ordinances or rules or laws, that equity is one of the first things we think about, as far as, is this an equitable law, or this is an equitable rule, or like with a mask mandate, if we ever decide to have a penalty for, you know, not wearing a mask, you know, how can this be an equitable thing where populations are not unfairly impacted just based on their socioeconomic background or their educational background or language barriers, where things of that nature are taken into account. And also to where everybody has a fair shake at, you know, healthcare, education, housing. Those things to me all would be parts of having a safe community. And as far as the walking away from this feeling like it's worth my time, I think the consensus thing that was said earlier, if we can all agree on what the issues are, and at the very minimum, set a path or have a vision of what we want to work towards, I think that would be very meaningful. And then we can just focus our time on moving in that direction.
Thank you, Rod.
I got something.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think when I think of a safe and ideal community, it'd be one where you know who your neighbors are and you don't mind helping your neighbor, and you have some kind of trust within your neighborhood where if a person needs help, they're not afraid to ask you for help, because you have so many people nowadays that will sit back and watch an injustice and they're afraid to get involved. So you want people to be able to get involved without being afraid that they'll have repercussions that come upon them. But you want people to know their neighbors, and you know, you don't have to be best friends, but know your neighbors. And if, you know, if I have an elderly person down the street, check on them every now and then to make sure they're okay and see if they need anything, especially with this pandemic going on. You know, make sure your neighbors are okay and people are okay. And with if we could take away anything from this group, people talk about education and the cultural differences and everything. We can educate people all day long, and if they don't try to internalize something that you try to teach them, they'll never learn. We can pass out brochures, we can have different types of diversity exhibits and everything, but the sad thing about it is if they don't.
Patricia, you just cut out. We might have lost you. Your yellow square went away. You cut off right at the end of your sentence. So if you're able to come back, if you hear me and you're able to come back, just
done our best.
Oh, there you are. Patricia, you cut out for a minute. So could you just repeat the part about, you were saying people not internalizing things then?
Oh yeah, if people don't accept what we're trying to do, we can't look at it as though that we haven't done our best at trying to get our information or doing our part in this task force, that we've done our job, even though they're not willing to accept what we're presenting to them. So we don't want to look as though we failed, when in essence, we've done everything that we set out to do in the task force. But it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be a piece of cake.
No, agreed. It's going to
be difficult. I've been gone a long time, but just being back here these past few years, it's going to be difficult.
Well, I appreciate everyone's those comments, Patricia, and what I am reading, at least in this first meeting, everyone's real and intent and energy for committing to doing the work. So thank you. Chief Hampton, anything you want to chime in?
Sorry, took me a second.
That's okay.
I mean, no, not particularly. I agree with pretty much what everybody said. I mean, you talk about a perfect world. I hate to kind of say it this way, but it'd be great if I didn't need to be here in this capacity, in this world. It'd be great if we had a perfect world where we didn't need police to help things happen. But I also think, is a deliverable out of this for me, I guess, is trying to understand the perspective of others better, and hopefully get some folks to understand, the perspectives and challenges that we face. I think that would be very successful. And obviously, if we can come up with solutions, that'd be awesome.
Thank you so much. Eli, did you want to add anything? I realized another discussion we haven't had is how much you prefer to focus on the staffing piece, or how much you want to contribute, but I would love for you to chime in if you wish to.
Thank you. I think on this one I might pass. I think that everyone has offered some very valuable insight. It's good to hear.
Thank you. I will just quickly say, I'm tempted to just repeat what you all have said. The idea, the wildest dreams definitely is having, just everyone having their needs met, so that we are able to kind of get at, if everyone's needs are met, then we're able to get at other more severe problems in a more targeted, productive way. So that's the big dream. I think that success for this group is a combination of what you all have said, is that I feel just really pleased with this group of people and the diversity of experience and backgrounds that everyone on this, all of your little squares, brings. And that if this group of people is able to come to consensus, and I think it was Rod who used the phrase, just even setting a path, because I don't know that we're going to come up with perfect solutions, but if we set a path for things that the community, the town, pointing directions towards other jurisdictions, that we would like to ask of the county, if they're pointing the direction for things we need to try and we need to change right here in Hillsborough or in the broader community, that if we can all agree on some of those things, and then catching up on what Hathaway said, set that path, and then down the road be able to look back and say, has that made a difference in any small group of people's lives? I think it was Judith that said that have we closed the margin on the racial disparity in who is caught up in the criminal justice system based on any of the recommendations that we've made? Those are the things I think that would show success. But some of those are long-term, some of those are more short-term. And I'm going to stop talking there because we are over time and I want to be respectful of people's time. So the last thing that we have on our agenda was to have a go around about who else do we hear from? What other information do we need? And that question relates to moving forward, subject matter experts, what data, information that people need. And for some of you, that might mean information you think that you might know. And I'm just thinking, you know, Alison Hathaway, you know, you have some very specific experiences that you might say, people need to know about this. This would be a good thing for people to talk about. This is information we need to share. So what I'm going to ask is, so my commitment is that I am going to clearly make the ask of what I'm asking for in an email that will be sent out to all of you, that you all can respond to me so that we can plan for the next iteration of this meeting, which I vision bringing in some of those subject matter experts to, you know, whether it's talking about the court system or, you know, I don't want to get too specific right now, or, you know, housing, things like that. We can bring that in. So I will follow up with that. And then I hope you all will all get back to me, and I will pause there and ask if there are other questions or comments that people want to make. Okay, I did think of something very important though, which is we need to set the next meeting. Flying the plane a little bit as I learn how to be a pilot, as the saying goes. So when I was looking at the calendar, it would be great to come back together next month in January. And I was looking at, these are all Thursdays. So January 7th, 14th, or 28th were 3 dates that I was looking at the same time at 7 o'clock, though I would suggest that we all, I would like for our meetings, our next meeting to be 7 to 9. If we finish early, that's great. And I would advocate for the 14th or the 28th, because I think that January 7th might be a little bit too close coming off the holidays for all of us to have our wits about us. Does anyone currently have an issue with either of those dates? All right. Okay. Great. I see Hathaway is advocating here in the chat for the 14th. So that's probably something good to aim for. So more details forthcoming. And with that, I just want to say thank you all so much for your energy and your time. Please reach out with any questions that you have. You can reach out to Eli. Always feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm sure Chief Hampton is always happy to get back with people too. So just all of us are available. And thank you so much for your time, and you will be hearing from me soon. Have a great evening.
Thank you
all.
Happy
holidays.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody.